Amen. God bless you. We're so happy today to have our own Brother Columbus Cody to come and share with us the word of the Lord. Are you happy about that today? Amen. Because every time he comes and he presents himself and show up in this place now, it's not easy to get him here. He travels all over the world. Matter of fact, I think he flew in this morning. He comes from Africa, deep parts of Africa. He comes down from the jungle parts, and he's here today to share with us God's word and the word of the Lord. I pray that you would open your hearts and open your ears and listen and hear what it is that the Lord will say to you today. Will you welcome him this morning by giving him a warm applause? God bless you, my brother.
He said Africa. I think he meant Antioch. That was close. Antioch. I think it's the same amount of letters, too. Antioch. No, Africa has less. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. During the offering, Pastor Coleman pretty much has preached in my entire message. So we're going to just take up another offering, then I'm going to leave. Now, in all seriousness, I am very grateful to be here. And as I look back, I see three of my favorite ladies in the world. Thank y'all for coming. They told me they would be here. I didn't expect all three of y'all to be together. Did y'all synchronize this? Surprise me. I looked down, I was like, okay, there's Miss Winston. Whoa, who is that by Miss Winston? And who is that by Miss Schmidt? What did Pastor Coleman call you? It wasn't Schmidt, though, was it? It was close enough? All right. Well, today, what I want to talk to you about is, and you know what? I ran up without putting the screen on the screen. The title of my lesson is, Maybe We're Seeing It All Wrong. Maybe we're seeing it all wrong. In 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 17, and this is the NIV version, it says, Elisha prayed, open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see. Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. And when I read that verse, what I thought to myself is that oftentimes our physical eyes are wide open, but yet we are still so blind as to what God wants to show us. And it's my hopes that after today's message, you will ask God to open your eyes so that you may see things the way he wants you to see them. Pastor Coleman mentioned about compassion and how when Jesus looked at people, he saw them with compassion. I think that's something we're lacking. I think because I'm good, I'm good. I think because I have everything in my life in order or enough of it in order, I'm good with that. I don't see that I need to be more compassionate with you. Now, we've been learning about how to live your best life, some of the best teaching we've had in years. We've been learning about what Christian character looks like, some of the best teaching we've had in years. We recently learned from Minister Perez that it's okay to say I'm broken. Some of the best teaching we've had in years. And then last week we were blessed to be told that it is critical, it's vital that we learn the enemy's strategies if we're going to walk victoriously. Minister Glover blessed us with that. Now, I would be willing to say that with all this great teaching that you have been given, that I have been given, you and I may still not be taking it and applying it because we may still see things the wrong way. So I'm praying that after today's lesson, you will ask God, Lord, open my eyes that I may see things the right way. Now, let me share with you the rest of the story I just read you, that one verse, what's happening in this situation. The children of Israel are God's people, and they have an enemy, and the enemy are the Arameans. And there's a king of Aram, and he's setting traps to ambush Israel. And every time he sets a trap to ambush them, Elisha would whisper in the ear of the king of Israel. And he would say, don't go over there because they're over there. And stay away from over there because they're over there. And so every time the king of Aram would put together a perfect plan to destroy God's people, he was figured out. He was so upset that he calls his advisors in and he's accusing them of being traitors. One of y'all in here is telling them what we're doing. They know what I'm saying in my own bedroom. This is in the Bible in case you think I'm making it up. Read it. It's good stuff. And then his advisors explained to him, none of us are traitors. They have a man of God that tells them everything you're about to do. And I thought about that when I read that. Because we too are blessed with a man of God that is exploiting the enemy's strategies. And yet we still walk right into the ambush. And then we wonder why we've been taken captive. So the king says, okay, this Elisha fella is getting on my nerves. I'm going to send a big part of my army to go capture him. So he sends so many horses and chariots and men. He sends so many that they're able to actually surround the whole city. And you got to visualize this. You send 30, 40 guys, that ain't enough. They got enough men and chariots and horses that they surround the whole city. Okay? Now I got you all caught up. Can everybody visualize what I said? If not, I got to tell it all over again. So now Elisha's servant gets up in the morning and he's sipping his coffee and he steps out on the porch, stretch it out and see how good God has been. And he opens his eyes and he sees it. And he walks back in the house and he says, Elisha, hey, you don't want to go outside, man. It's rough out there right now. So Elisha steps out on the porch and he sees it. He sees it too. But what Elisha says is, you're seeing it all wrong. In 2 Kings 6 and 17, he tells his servant, don't be afraid. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. See, his servant steps out and saw all the horses, all the chariots, all the men, and he said, oh my goodness, we're done. Elisha stepped out and he saw all of God's heavenly hosts surrounding them. Now, how many of us are in this same room together and yet we see stuff so differently? How is it that we all sit under the same teaching and yet we hear stuff so differently? How can we have the same Heavenly Father and yet we are all growing so differently? Could it be that maybe, just maybe, we're still seeing stuff the wrong way? Maybe we're still looking at life through the wrong lens. And if you look at anything through the wrong lens, you can't make the right choices. That's right. Yes. So if I were to say, raise your hand if you're saved, no doubt nearly every hand in the room would raise. It would shoot up quick. That's me. That's me, brother. Glad you called me. That's me. That's me. See, he said it. That's me. If I were to ask, how do you know? Most of the minds in this room would go, please don't call me to answer that. They would look down. Please don't pick me. Why is he looking at me? Don't pick me to answer that. But when you hear the question, are you saved? Do we see salvation the same? Yeah, I go to church. That's the first thing we say when we ask, are you saved? I go to church. I pray some of the times. You know what? I even teach Sunday school. Yeah, we do go to church. But do we really worship God? There's a meme that they have that says being a Christian is you're no more a Christian. How does it go? Something about a Christian, just because you go to church, you're no more than a Christian than a car is a Christian because it sits inside the driveway or something like that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I messed that one all up. Y'all throw it back. I'll put it up. Throw it back. All right. Forget everything I said. Strike that from the record, Your Honor. I do pray sometimes. But am I just rattling off my wish list to God? God, give me this, and can you give me that? And watch over for that, and I'll take 2 of those and 3 of those. Is that what my prayers look like? I do teach Sunday school, and I love teaching Sunday school. I'm a Sunday school teacher, but do I do it grudgingly? The Bible says he loves a cheerful giver. We think of cheerful giver only as paying in the offering, but even your gifts that he was talking about earlier, do you love to give your gift? Do you love to share what you are good at? Or do you hold on to it? Right now, I want you to silently pray. Say it in your mind, Lord, please open my eyes. Okay, some of y'all didn't say it, so we're going to do it one more time. In your mind, go. I didn't hear 3 of y'all. Oh, y'all didn't know I could read minds, did you? Sister, stop thinking that. Stop. Now I want you to say it out loud together, except we're going to change the words to this. Lord, please open our eyes. We're going to do it on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Lord, please open our eyes. Okay, that was terrible. Now we're going to say it like we mean it. 1, 2, 3. Lord, please open our eyes. Please open our eyes. See, when the disciples went out on the water and they climbed in this boat, the storm rose. This is one of my favorite stories in the Bible. It was a bad storm. It was so bad that they were panicking. They knew they were going to die. This is a storm we don't make it out of. But here's the cool thing. On that boat were seasoned fishermen, which tells me these dudes have seen storms before. Why is this storm so much different? It's bigger, it's greater. They are panicking. So they wake up Jesus. Wake up, Jesus, wake up. Come on, man, don't you care that we're about to die? So Jesus wakes up. He comes out on the main deck, and he sees the storm. He looks at them, looks at the storm. He's like, y'all woke me up for this? He speaks to the storm. Peace, be still. He says to them, you guys have little faith. If I'm on this boat with you, and you just told me you know who I am, and if nothing can happen to me, how could it happen to you? They saw it the wrong way. How many of us panic as soon as the storms begin in our life? I mean, we panic. It hasn't even started storming yet. It's just drizzling like, oh, Lord, we finna die. It's a drizzle. Just open your umbrella. Matter of fact, you don't even need an umbrella for what you got right now. It's just a drizzle. Put that umbrella up and let that mist hit your face. How many of us have grown to the point where we understand that storms are going to come? We've seen them come. We've seen them go. No one wants to be in a storm. None of y'all will wake up and like, brother, Cody, you know what? I sure hope the Lord sends me through a storm today. You know, life has just been too good. I need a couple storms in my life. None of y'all would say that. And if you did, I would have you committed immediately. None of us want to go through a wilderness. But that's because most times we see our storm and we see our wilderness all wrong. We learned a few weeks ago that it's the pressure that squeezes out the juice. It's the pressure that squeezes out the oil. I can't build these big old muscles without lifting some weight. I know what y'all thinking. Wow, those are huge. All right, look away. My wife is in the room. Look away. Ladies, calm down. My goodness. Baby, it's okay. Stay seated, stay seated. I saw her heart rate and who do I need to get? Calm down, ladies. I'm taken. Have you ever thought about this? If it weren't for your storm, you and God might not be like this. If it wasn't for your wilderness, you wouldn't truly know how powerful God is. I said it earlier, if I were to ask you, how do you know you're saved? Most in the room would hope that I wouldn't ask them to answer. But I'm certain there's a few of you in here that would stand up and boldly, I'll tell you, I know I'm saved because I have a spirit in me that is unmovable. I'll tell you, I have a spirit in me that is unshakable. I'll tell you, I have a spirit in me that is steadfast. No matter what storm comes, no matter what wilderness I go through, that's the spirit that's in me. I know I'm saved. Glory, glory. You might want to write down what I'm about to say. When you truly have seen God work in your life, you tend to see every situation as a chance for God to work in your life. I'm going to say it again. When you have truly seen God work in your life, you tend to see every situation as a chance for God to work in your life. You don't panic as much anymore. You don't freak out and throw in the towel anymore because you've seen storms come and you've seen storms go. I sent you guys a post several weeks ago, and it had something to do with the effect of every tough situation you've been through, you've come out 100% victorious. Y'all remember that? Something of that nature. And Pastor Coleman sent me a text. He says, I don't see how that is encouraging, which told me you didn't read it the way my brain read it. Because I was like, there's no way he didn't see it the right way. I wish I had pulled it up for y'all, but it was to the effect of everything that you thought would destroy you, that was last year. That was last week. You're still here, which means you are 100% victorious. You've beat everything that's come your way so far. So why are you panicking about what's about to happen now? If God gives you a tomorrow, guess what? You are victorious tomorrow, even though what happened today. But it could be that we are seeing it the wrong way. Now that we got that in the open and I'm surrounded by saved folks, I can move to the best part of the lesson. Had to weed out all the unsaved folk, and everybody in here saved so I can keep going. I really want us to take a look at this church thing. Church. Because I wonder if we're seeing that the wrong way. I started reading this book right here. I bought this book from McKay's for 50 cents. The best 50 cents I've ever spent in my whole life. And it's called I Will, 9 Traits of the Outwardly Focused Christian. Outwardly focused. And there's some nuggets that I learned from this book that I plan to share with you today that I believe will encourage you to see things differently. He starts off talking about a woman that married a man and she began going to his church. That's pretty common. That happens. Get married, you go to your husband's church, go to your wife's church. And the people in the church treated her really well. They embraced her. They pulled her in. They loved her. She enjoyed the church for a while. I mean, the ministries were nice. She had access to wonderful church experiences. And they allowed her to get involved right away. Right away. Now, you fast forward, she's about to go through a divorce. And now she no longer goes to that church. The crazy thing is, he writes that she was relieved to no longer have to attend that church. She had gotten in a rut at that church. But the reasoning might surprise you. She had become complacent because she was only inwardly focused. Church was about what I can get and what I can get and what I can get. I don't like the song. Why does pastor have to preach so long? That I can't believe they cooked that for a meal. It's inwardly focused. She starts complaining like the other members. She starts finding everything negative like the other members. She developed an I want attitude instead of an I will attitude. And sometimes we fall into that same trap of seeing church as what can I get from it? Instead of how will I serve within it? He just said that everyone in the room has gifts. I have that somewhere further down. I hope it doesn't sound too redundant for you, but as a school teacher for nearly 20 years, I know that most people don't pay attention the first time. So I'm going to say it again. Am I leaning over like a teacher? Not long ago, I wrote a blog post about what I saw in an NFL game. And I watched as an equipment manager stood beside the quarterback. It was freezing out there. He was waiting on the quarterback to take off his helmet so he can swap a warm wool hat for the helmet. He's just standing there waiting because they're about to interview the quarterback. He's standing there waiting. His job is to wait until this man takes off his helmet. Most people, I don't want that job. I feel so stupid. Why I got to just stand there and wait? I don't want that job. Why can't I have something more glorious? How come I can't be in where it's warm? That's what I would have asked. And when I saw that, what God placed in my spirit at that time is that we must all, that's every last one of us, develop the same serve others mindset. If the church is going to be what God truly created it to be, we have to have a serve others mindset. Not a I want, but an I will. I'll do it. I will. Who can, I will. Now, I joined the Navy when I was 17. They said Navy stands for never again volunteer yourself. So before you say I will, at least hear the whole thing. Okay, you almost got me on that one, brother. Nah, I won't do that one. We have to all develop a serve others mindset. But what I found to be even more interesting was the notion of how we serve. How we serve. Do we serve with a spirit of excellence? Or do we serve with a, they ought to be glad I did something spirit? That makes a difference. That makes a difference to God. Well, they ought to be glad I did it. I don't get paid for this. I don't get paid for this. Colossians 3:23 says, and whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord, not unto men. Do it with your whole heart. This morning, I was sitting up top getting everything together, and I heard the choir about to come in to start practicing. And a sister walked in, and she went, and Sister Tina said, what was that? And she said, I have to warm my vocal cords up to get the mucus off. Because if you don't, that can damage your vocal cords. And I thought to myself, here's someone who takes pride in what they do, who's going to put their whole self in. She's not just going to walk, praise the Lord, everybody, y'all. I'm finna sing this song, and I'm going to get up out of here. Jesus. And look, get her out of this choir stand quick. She warmed up her voice. She started doing, I was up top like, it works. It works. Look how beautiful I sound. Romans 12:1 says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Present yourself to God in this manner is only reasonable. Question for you. How are you presenting yourself to the Lord? Are you presenting your best self? Or are you presenting whatever's left over once you've exhausted yourself? In Genesis chapter 4, you guys can go back and read this, and you've heard it before, but Genesis chapter 4, the Bible tells us about two brothers, Cain and Abel. And Abel took care of the sheep, and Cain tilled the earth, and they both made presentations to God. They both brought gifts to God. They both came before God with something of their hand. They both did this. It wasn't like Abel did something that Cain didn't do, but the description of their presentations was not the same. Listen to the difference. This is verse 3-5. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. Good job, Cain. Excellent job. Verse 4. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof, and the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. Verse 5, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. Did you hear the difference? Cain brought, it says, the fruit of the ground. He brought an offering. Good job. But Abel brought of the firstlings of his flock and the fat thereof. He didn't just bring anything to God. He brought God the best he had. Cain just said, look, Lord, this is what I got left. Let me see. Y'all say y'all need 300, huh? Mm-hmm. I ain't got it. Here's $3.50, $3.50, right? You put all the other big bills way down at the bottom, but you put the 3 on top. Pastor made it plain. Maybe your sacrifice is not 300. Maybe your sacrifice is 30. Equal giving, equal sacrifice, not equal giving. We've been taught that for 20 years. Your sacrifice might not look like mine. That's right. But if it's a sacrifice, God will accept it. What Cain brought was not a sacrifice. It was what was left over. It was like, okay, let me see. That plum is rotten, but hey, give me that. God won't know the difference. Give me that. Turn it that way. Yeah. Okay, give me 3 apples. Ooh, that one's rotten. I can't sell it. Give me that apple. Let me go give this to God. Hear me what I'm about to say. Sit up straight on this one. Maybe you feel like you don't have much to present. But I'd say to you, if you take the little you do have and you present it properly, that's the key, present it properly, God will receive it. He will receive it. Years ago, I used to clean the church, and I was able to make a few bucks each week. I enjoyed having an opportunity to earn a little extra income. I used it to pay my editor when I wrote my first book and pay the guy who did the book cover. And so, it was good to have extra money to do these things. I played a little golf and didn't have to use our real money because my wife watches the bank account like a hawk. You know how we do it. Well, no lie, one day I was out on the golf course. I was on the first hole, about to tee off, my phone rang. It was my wife. I answered it. I said, hey, she said, what are you doing? I said, playing golf. She said, you playing right now? How come it's $37 this time? I said, I'm playing 18 holes. She said, thinking you should stick with 9. She was right, because when I finished, my back was done. So I used to earn a little extra income, and then my back started to act up. And it was so bad that when I finished cleaning the church, I could hardly walk. I would drive home, and when I got out of the car, I'd walk in the house like this. I'd be hurting so bad. And then I heard the enemy whisper in my ear. He said, you don't have to do it with that much detail. You can cut a few corners. Nobody's going to know. And as soon as I heard that, I immediately went into the pastor's office the next Sunday, and I informed him that I would have to resign. I was going to have to quit cleaning the church because I couldn't do it at the level of excellence that I was trained to do it at. And I wasn't going to compromise the integrity of the house of God so I can earn a few bucks. So when I walked in and I told him, Pastor, I'm going to have to resign, he smiled. But I could tell he was thinking, Lord, please don't let him quit. Don't let him quit. He offered me a raise. Offered me a raise. I'm telling him I can't walk. Brother, what if we bumped you up a little bit? Think that'll make you walk a little better? I said, no, Pastor, I can't. Literally, as much as I would love to earn that extra, I can't. And it broke my heart because all I could think about was, with me stepping down, someone was going to have to step up. And there was only one other somebody, and that was him. So now he has to go back to cleaning up the church. So a few months go by, and I watch our pastor give us 100% Sunday morning, preach until he's dripping, soaking wet, and then as soon as everybody leaves, he's in the church vacuuming. I watched this, and then the Lord spoke to my spirit. He said, that's wrong. I know you can't do it every week, but surely you can do something. So I went back to pastor. There's a couple months that went by. My back was starting to get a little better. And I said, let me ask you this. If we alternate months, will that help you out? He was like, brother, what? Brother. Yes, that would help me out. So we started alternating. My month, his month. My month, his month. And then Brother James said, you think I can jump in on that? I was like, Pastor, please let him jump in. Please let him jump in. Pastor, my back still hurt. Let him jump in. Brother James, were you trained on what you're supposed to do?
Yes, I was.
Okay. The first time I started cleaning the church, I was just vacuuming. Pastor did all the rest. And then when he turned it over to me to do it all, he assumed I knew everything he did. I didn't. So a month or two goes by, and I'm vacuuming up a storm, and I got it looking good on the vacuuming. But right here, we used to have a communion table. And we walk in the church and said, brother, can I see you after church? I was like, sure. So he walks up to the communion table, and he takes his finger, and he walks across it like this. It was a gob of dust. He was like, are you not cleaning the table? I said, I didn't know I had to do that. He said, brother, you got to clean all of it. Let me show you. So then he shows me how to do everything I'm supposed to do. Now he can hold me accountable because I've showed you what you're supposed to do. So time goes by, and the finances in the church starts to dwindle some. And so you can't pay the cleaning guy anymore. He had that same look like, brother, you finna quit on me? I said, nah, I got you. No lie, these are his words. It has to be with the same level of excellence. I was like, that's the way I was trained, sir. I know of no other way. Just because I don't get paid don't mean I'm gonna step back. But that's because I see things differently. If you ever clean this church, when you see a candy wrapper on the pew, it will bother you. Who would do this? When you vacuum glitter off that pew, oh my God, glitter. God hates glitter. God hates glitter. And then you start figuring out who sat there. Sister Smith was sitting right here. I'm going to pop her tire next week. Ladies, I'm telling you, that glitter is from Satan himself. That stuff is hard. It's hard to deal with. So when I stepped up and I said, Pastor, do you think if I take a month off of your shoulders, will that help? At that moment, I felt like the guy standing beside the quarterback waiting for him to take his helmet off. Because I realized at that moment that if I do this small thing, that allows him to do a greater thing that helps the team. So, yeah, when my month is over after today, y'all, and I'm tired, I ain't gonna lie. My back is hurting thinking about what I gotta do. Speaking of backs, in your back you have 2 kidneys, okay? 2. Did you know that you could live and function with 1? But the problem is, if you only have 1, you have to change a lot of stuff. You got to change how you eat. You got to change how you exercise. Your life changes. Now, why am I telling you this? These kidneys' job is to filter out all of the bad in your blood. So when you eat that junk food, your body squeezes out everything that's good in it, which ain't much, and it puts it in your blood and it sends it to the cells. And everything that's garbage, it sends it to the kidneys. And the kidneys washes your blood real good. And then it sends all the junk down the ureters, and then to your urethra, and then out into the world. Now you got to go do number 1. You get rid of it. The rest of it goes through your colon, and that's when you do number Whose kid is that? Good Lord. Good Lord. Extra credit for you, sir. What am I saying, and what do I want you to see? Could it be that we are overworking the one because we aren't serving in an area that we can actually add value? You could do something in this building to add value. You don't have to just sit there and wait every Sunday. Well, I just came to hear the message and hear the song. What are you doing to serve?
All right.
Maybe we're looking at church wrong. I came to church to hear a message, and that way I can go back home and feel good about the day. No, I actually came to hear a message so I can go share that message.
That's right.
There are so many things you can do.
That's right.
Pastor said it earlier, God has given us all a gift. Some of you in this room have multiple gifts. Multiple gifts. Gifts upon gifts. There's people in the pews right now that wish they had your gift.
That's right.
They wish they had your gift. And you sitting on your gift, and they're like, man, if I could sing like sister, I wouldn't even talk. I just sing everything. Hello, how you doing? Sister, just talk to me. I'm trying to talk, but I'm singing. Just say hello. I can't. I'm singing everything. If I had a voice like that, I'm singing. I'll be at the bank. Let me get 10 20s, and 2 5s. Singing everything. But some of you, because you aren't the eye, you think you're not important.
That's right.
Because you're the ear, you don't see yourself as valuable. But if you were to ask anybody in this room that may struggle with hearing, they'll tell you, I wish I could hear better. I wish I could hear. I can't hear half of what you're saying. Most of the time, that's a good thing, probably. You may want to write this one down. Please stop comparing your one talent to everybody's multiple. Your one is useful and it's needed. Your one little thing that you're good at, we need it.
That's right.
We need it. We need your one talent. We need your one gift. And believe it or not, if you render that to God and you use it to serve him and to serve others, you might be surprised. He might give you more. Maybe you can't preach or sing or even stand long enough to usher. Maybe you have one talent, and that's to knit. You knit like nobody's business. I think that's how you do it. So maybe you decide to teach some others how to knit, and then you start knitting for nursing homes ministry.
That's right.
And y'all knit scarves. And after you finish the scarves, you present them to the outreach team. And the outreach team takes these scarves and they go over to the nursing home and they spend the day with these people, praising God with them, loving on them, leave them the scarf.
That's right.
Every time that elderly person wraps that scarf around them when they're cold, they're not thinking about wool and stitching. They're thinking about how good God is. And you did that. Well, all I know how to do is knit and stitch stuff. We could use that. Maybe you can't preach or teach, but you can run the vacuum. Notice I've said that several times. Maybe you're tired of watching Brother Cody struggle to walk after running that vacuum. Maybe you want to volunteer for the cleaning committee. But get this, you got to recognize that with that comes, I can't do this any kind of way mindset. You have to understand that you have to accept constructive feedback. That's everything in life, though. There's nothing you're going to be great at in life that you can't take feedback for. So now you get the feedback and you learn exactly how to clean this building to where when people walk in, they have a clean environment to worship God. I don't know if you guys notice it. Who's walking down the aisles right now? Who's distracting your worship right now? Nobody. Do you know why? The ushers have been trained. You, in essence, have learned and trained through time. If I need to go out, I go out that way. You reverence this room. It didn't happen overnight. You had to learn that. And you had to take some constructive criticism around. Sister, let's not go this way, go this way. Why he got to call me out for that? Sister, is it real? Just go that way. If you don't move fast enough, Brother Cody, come get her. Ooh, headlock, headlock. Pastor, can I get her? Pastor, can I get her? Yeah. It's been a while since I had to do a headlock. I've been stretching, waiting to do one. If you are saved, you'll have a desire to serve. I'm going to say that again because it went over somebody's head. If you are saved, you'll have a desire to serve. And if you have a desire to serve, you must develop an understanding that it matters a great deal how you present yourself to God in service. Since we're talking about black history, and it's the last day, I'm going to throw one more black history fact out there for my wife. Oh, she was ready for it. Yeah, brother, give it to me, yeah. She's a Fiskite, y'all, so you know she loves black history stuff. All right, so one day, this young black man is walking down the street, and he's dressed nice. He's dressed nicer than most other young black men. And an older woman says, "Excuse me, young man, come here, please, come here. Would you be willing to chop this wood for me?" He said, "Yes, ma'am." So he takes off his coat, he lays his coat down, and he chops the wood. He got it nice, and he said, "Young man, before you leave, would you be willing to take it around back and put it by the fireplace?" "Oh, sure thing, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am." So he takes it around, puts it by the fireplace, stacks it up nice and neat. It's perfect. If it was Pastor Coleman, he'd measure it. Yeah. That's right. Ain't no eyeball in here. It's got to be right. And so she says to him, she says, "Thank you so much, young man. What do I owe you?" He says, "Nothing, ma'am. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve you." So he puts his coat on, he starts walking down the street, and the lady's maid runs in. She goes, "Do you know who that was just chopping your wood?" She said, "Nah, who was it?" She said, "That's Booker T. Washington, the great Negro educator." So she tells her maid, "Send for him, bring him back." That lady donated several $1,000,000 to see his dream come true. His dream was to educate other Negroes, higher education. His dream became Tuskegee Institute, which is now Tuskegee University, which is Sister Coleman's alma mater. So thanks to his chopping of wood with no agenda, just wanting to serve, she's educated. She's the highest paid member of Christ Church. Can I hold something? What am I saying? What do I want you to see? It matters how you serve. And your service is never going to be overlooked by God. Now, back to the ears and eyes, and I'm going to get out of here. Ears and eyes. They're both very important. Just because you're an ear, don't think you're lesser. We need you. Just because you're an eye, don't think you're all that important, because we could poke you out. Now, as I was reading this book, I came across a statement on page 87, and it said this: if you are not serving in your church, you are not a legitimate member of the church. And when I read that, I was like, oh. Now, don't get me wrong, I serve in a lot of areas, so I probably had a little self-righteousness at that moment. Oh, that's not talking about me. But the statement just seems so harsh. If you're not serving in your church, you're not a legitimate church member. But then what came in my spirit, you're the salt of the earth. And if the salt loses its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? You're thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and trodden under the foot of men. This was Jesus' words, not Thomas Rayner. Jesus said, if you ain't doing my work, you're really not good for anything. I didn't light you on fire and then hide you under a bushel. I set your light in you so you can affect everybody. So if you're not serving, I would tell you today might be a good day to say, Pastor, well, you need some service at. Can you cook? Mm-mm. Can you clean? What would you describe clean? We can train you. Notice I went there again. Is it possible that we become so relaxed in our walk with God that the fact that we showed up at church satisfied our Christian checkoff list? I mean, I came to church. I mean, I did what I was supposed to do. Did you? I mean, did you? You sat in the pew. You wouldn't even sing when they sang. You just, what in the world? You sing better than everybody up there, but you not, no. Pastor ain't gonna let me sing the one I want to sing. Really? What would happen if I could sing, y'all? What would happen? I'd sing everything, wouldn't I? Everything. Police pulled me over, I'd sing to him. If you were to look at Jesus' movements while on earth, you might get some clues. Did he show up to church? Sure he did. But most of his work was done outside the church, away from the synagogue. Out there is where he was healing. Out there is where he was teaching. Out there is where he was blessing. I just told you about eyes and ears, but one thing I don't want you to become is the appendix of the church. Anybody in here not have their appendix? Everybody still got y'all's? Ah, look at y'all. This is a whole church. We are whole. We don't want to become the appendix in our church, because if you can be removed and it won't make a difference, it's probably because we aren't doing anything that makes a difference. Did you catch what I said? The appendix, you could take the appendix out and it won't alter your life. I started reading stuff like, what is the appendix good for? It says most scientists don't even know. They think that it's a part of evolution that just stopped. Like, we don't even need that road no more. So if they take your appendix out, you still function. I don't want to be the appendix of the church. I want to be so valuable to you guys that if I miss a Sunday, the whole church feels like something's off. Because believe it or not, when you guys miss, that's the thing you don't recognize. We feel that. Something is off. Man, I wish Christy was here to sing that song. Ah, man, pastor's on vacation. Man, the message was good, but it ain't like it is when he's there. Oh, man, when sister prayed over that, we hadn't had no one to pray like that over us in quite some time. Another thing that in the book that caught my eye was research that they conducted. And I'm going to tell you this and get out of your way. The author learned that members that got involved in small groups within the church were 5 times more likely to be active in the church 5 years later compared to worship-only attenders. So if all you did was come to worship, within 5 years you had a greater chance of not being active anymore compared to people who took part in small groups. What is small groups? That's Sunday school. That's Bible study. That's women's ministry. That's youth ministry. Those are the small groups that keeps us connected. He said when he saw that, he was like, whoa. He had to reach deeper into the research, and then he found out that 83% who joined and were involved in the small groups stayed active. 16% after 5 years, they were gone, or within 5 years. Why am I sharing this with you? I know that we say stuff like, I don't feel like getting up to go to Sunday school. That's too early. I'm tired after work on a Wednesday, man. I would go to Bible study, but I'm tired. Raise your hand if you come to Bible study and you're tired, besides me. All right, for those of us who come to church and we're tired, have you ever regretted coming? Never. In fact, the moment I sat down and started hearing word, I was no longer tired. It's like God just infuses you with energy, and you're like, whew, man. But then after Bible study, then I got to run that vacuum. Guess what? Then I go back to being tired again. Hint, hint, hint. All right. Maybe we're looking at these small groups the wrong way. I know you don't want to give up your Saturday. I know you don't feel like coming on Wednesday. I know Sunday school, if I come to Sunday school, that means I got to be at church an hour longer than if I didn't. Did you hear what I just said? An hour. Everything I just mentioned is only 1 hour. But it's the best hour investment you'll ever make. But you won't see that until you first commit to it.
That's right.
Could it be that these connections is what keeps us grounded and spiritually focused? Maybe we're seeing it the wrong way. I stumbled upon a YouTube video that was giving a speech about how this guy reads one book a day. And to be honest, I don't enjoy reading very much, which is weird. I wrote a book and don't like reading. That's how I knew God was leading that, because I'm like, Lord, I'll do it if you tell me to, but I'm never going to even read what I wrote. Isn't that crazy? Now, I'm not going to lie, I did read it, because the perfectionist spirit, when you're an author, you erase before you, just write. I just keep erasing. I don't like that. I keep going, erase that, keep going, and finally it's done. So the man posed a question that grabbed my attention right away. He says, if you could sit down and talk to great minds like Martin Luther King, Bill Gates, and Gandhi and learn from all of their experience, would you take advantage of that? I'm like, yeah. Who wouldn't want to sit at the feet of these great men and learn everything they know? He said, that's what happens when you open their book.
That's right.
What took them 20, 30, 40 years of their life to learn, you get to learn in days inside their book. And what that did is it changed the way I viewed reading. Like, now I actually want to read some stuff because I like learning. Why am I picking up this book off the shelf? I don't know. This is not the kind of literature I would normally grab, but I feel like the Lord directed me to this so that I could read this and go, wow, Brother Cody, are you too inwardly focused? Because Christ Church is meeting your needs, are you too inwardly focused? Or are you trying to get out there and go help somebody else? Well, I'm good. My family's good, but I'm looking at it the wrong way. Church should not just be about me coming in here, hearing a good message and leaving. Church should change me so much that I seek to help others change. Minister Perez talked to us about being broken, and I think about that. When people come in broken, we judge them for being broken. We compare our brokenness. At least I'm not broken like that. At least my brokenness don't look like that. Man, did you know her son is broken like that? At least my son ain't like that. That's the wrong spirit.
Yes, it is.
I have been in this church over 20 years. Some of you, I don't know your middle name. I'm a horrible brother. Horrible. We should be closer than this. Like, I should know more about you than what I see on, say, hey, sister, how you doing? What's her name again? I'll never forget one day we was in Walmart, and I said, there goes Sister Jolene. Columbus said, who is that? Really? You see her every Sunday. Who is Sister? Oh, yeah, I remember her. I didn't know her name, though. She probably held you as a baby, and you don't know her name. I'm failing you as a father. This is your family. Why aren't we, if I call you brother, I should treat you more brotherly. If I call you sister, I should embrace you as a sister, not just a church member. This is what I'm telling me. So don't feel like I'm calling you out. This is me getting more outwardly focused. Last thing, and I'm done. I saw in the book also something I found interesting. It stated that 8 out of 10 people that do not attend church said that they would come if someone invited them. Now, I'm not a math expert, but that's 80% for people who don't go to church. See, what we do is we keep inviting people that have a church home. And they go, well, brother, I would come, but I got all these other responsibilities. Okay, let me find someone that doesn't go to church. But you know what? You're not going to invite someone to come to something you're not excited about. You need to ask God to open your eyes to see the jewel that you have right here. And then share it with everybody you know. Question, are you inviting people to join you in worship? Second question, are you asking people that usually don't go to church? Maybe you don't feel comfortable in evangelizing. Say it again. Now she's going to give up on me. Evangelizing, that's it. Maybe you don't feel comfortable evangelizing. So all you need to do is invite. And if you invite them, then that gives the pastor or the ministers a chance to do the heavy lifting. You just got to invite them. And if you invite them, they'll do the rest. They'll do the rest. All right, can I ask y'all a serious question as I take my seat? And you don't have to answer this out loud. Let me get my concerned, gentle face so that you guys don't feel nervous. How's this? Good? Okay. You feel it? Okay, great. How often do you think about your church? How often do you seek to add and have a desire to see the ministry flourish? How often? Like, I'll give you an example. For myself, it's not uncommon for me to wake up at 2 in the morning with an idea for something we could do at our church. And I'll text Pastor Coleman and give him, what do you think about this? Does it fit into the vision of what we're doing? Because that's another thing you have to ask. Does it fit within the vision? Just because it's something I want to do, it might not flow with what we're trying to do. And I have to be okay with being, nah, brother, that kind of goes against what we're trying to do. I'm okay with that. The idea popped in, I wanted to share with you. So I share the idea. He'll text me back, brother, that's a great idea. Let's start brainstorming on that. Or, nah, brother, I don't think that's going to work for what we're trying to do. How often do you think of your church? Pastor Coleman mentioned 300 strong. I try to look back in my notes to see when we first started using that language, 300 strong. I couldn't find it. I'm going to guess it was at least 10 years ago, at least. So the vision is not something new. But here's my question to you. Are you serving as though you're serving 300 strong or serving 30 strong? Because that's the mindset we have to get past. We're still trying to serve 30 when we need to be thinking there's 300. I'm going to give you the service I'd give 300. I'm not going to wait until there's 300 before I pour my whole self in. One of my favorite gospel songs is titled, It's Not Over. One of the things she says in that song is, you got to see it before you see it, or you never will see it. You got to see it before you see it, or you never will see it. And maybe we're looking at it all wrong. But what I would pray is that we will all start serving with all of our hearts, with all of our soul. And let's give God everything we've got. And watch him direct us to what he wants us to do. So what did we learn today? 1, you need to ask God to open your eyes daily so you never miss anything he wants to show you. 2, you have a gift or multiple gifts that are needed in the house of God, and you need to share them. 3, you can no longer be satisfied with being a spectator. It's time for you to get involved. Stop working your kidney so hard. Join in, please. The last thing that you should have learned today is that the spirit in which we serve is very important. No more half-hearted service in anything we do. I've got to ask you one more question to ask of yourself, and then I'm walking off. Matter of fact, let me close this so you know I ain't lying to you. This is a question I want you to ask yourself. Can I do more? Ask yourself that. And then go home and write down everything you like to do. First, you got to like it, because if you join something that you don't like, you're going to burn out. It's got to be something you like. And you don't have to be perfect. We'll perfect it as we go. But you have to have a spirit of excellence. There's a difference. Perfect is sometimes the enemy. We won't start until we're perfect. But whoever became perfect at anything until they started? Can I do more? Write down your list. Bring it on Sunday. Give it to Pastor Come. Hey, these are the things I'm good at. Do you need me in any of these areas? Can I do